Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com. Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. Episode 107. As typical, when we do Seat Time, it is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time in northern Texas. For those of you who have absolutely no idea what you have tuned into on this fantastic Tuesday evening, this is Seat Time, the online show for the off-road enthusiast. And with that, I have a fun guest this evening. In studio is Mrs. How do you say that as a married lady?
I guess it's a Mrs., but I feel old.
Is it Mrs.?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mrs. Jordon Bailey, and it's Jordan, Jordon.
O-N.
So if you wanted to stalk her on the internet, make sure you don't use an A or an E before the N.
That's correct, because you probably won't find me.
Or may find something way more interesting. I don't know what kind of people out there have that spelled of a name. And then, of course, on the other side of the world, technically not actually, he's just on the East Coast, is Mr. Jared Bolton. So, dude, how is your evening going?
I think we already put him to sleep.
What? Oh, it's good. Just hanging out, doing some things and stuff, and a little bit of whatnot. The whatnot's a little bit better than the things and stuff, so it's not bad.
Well, we've got all kinds of fun stuff going on right now. Apparently, we've got awesome echo that Steven's trying to work on. You know, Jordan's dropping stuff here in the studio. We've got you looking all suave in your jacket.
Guys.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just my brand new back on my phone we put on yesterday.
That's okay. We need to get that for you so you can tweet during the show.
Thanks.
We're working on the echo. One of the things that I would say to check, just because of the fact that it screwed me over in Big Sky, is to make sure that none of the mics on the cameras are still on. And that I'm just saying, just because of the fact that it completely screwed me over one time. Other than that, I do not know what we could test. So, Seat Time, what you guys are watching, online show for the off-road enthusiasts. We do go live every Tuesday night, except for next Tuesday, because we're going to take a break. Everybody needs it before we go into the holidays, because that stuff gets crazy. So where can you find Seat Time? SeatTime.co is the website. On top of the website, we have Facebook, facebook.com/SeatTime, or on Twitter, twitter.com/SeatTime_CO. You can search for us, Seat Time, on Instagram. You can search for us on YouTube, all those kinds of fun stuff. And, that's kind of how you find us there on the internet. One thing that's also fun is if you don't just like looking at pretty faces like this one, you can find us on Stitcher and iTunes as well, so you can go there and search for Seat Time, and it's a good way to find us and listen, driving to races, driving to work, driving home from work. Driving across the country, which we will be doing quite shortly. Not we, but we and the we of Seat Time.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll not be driving.
No. You're like, I've done that enough. I'm totally done with that.
I'm tired from driving across the country.
And from dirt biking, which sucks.
No. Wait.
I don't know. One day you'll ride again.
One day.
One day I will ride again. So yeah, we did, because of the fact that we have not had guests in the studio for a while, we hooked up our old mixer, and of course that is giving us all kinds of jack-a-ma-jig right now, and Steven is rigorously working, so we may be able to listen to Bolton, but we may not get a lot of his video as we do this. So I wanted to have a GNCC Wrap Up show. I just wanted to talk about a lot of the racing that went on. Mr. Bolton is a great person to have on to do that, just because of the fact that he's at all the races. He's super, super involved, been doing it for a long time. He knows everybody. He knows all the dirt. He knows all the awesome stuff, all the horrible stuff. Good way to get his input. And then, of course, Ms. Jordon Bailey is an ex-women's pro racer in the GNCC circuit. And since she's so close to us, a good 45 minutes away, I think. Yeah. That it's always great to have her over, get her input kind of on the races and stuff like that, how things are going. So let's talk about some of that stuff. One thing I do want to mention before we do is some of the house cleaning. This show definitely brought to you, thanks Jolton, definitely brought to you by Fly Racing, and of course Power Sport Graphics. And this show is Fast Company, so if you want to go pick yourself up a pair of Flex bars, that's what you go do it. So thanks for their support. And, of course, don't forget, we have the new Seat Time quote T-shirts, which you can pick up at seattime.bigcartel.com, not co.com. Or you could click the ad to your right, because on the site there's a little picture of that. You could also donate $20 if you wanted to. There's a little donate button. Did you know that?
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would. You're telling me.
We
could actually have equipment that doesn't sound like shit. But hey, we do what we can.
He needs to feed his family, guys. $20.
Yeah. Seriously. All right. So GNCC Wrap Up. I have to say, I was super excited with this. I was really, really trying to find a way to make it to the last race, to Ironman, to kind of see how it was going to come down, because we knew it was going to come down to the checkers. We just couldn't really, but unfortunately we had some family stuff that came up, so couldn't make it, but that's okay. As I said, we had Mr. Bolton there, got to talk to him, got to talk to Caleb Russell after the fact when he won his XC1 championship. It was pretty fantastic. So to just I want to know a little bit about Ironman for you, Bolton. How was the atmosphere at that race, since it was so close with the points?
I always call the Ironman, I call it the county fair, because it really is almost like I'd imagine that draws more people from that town than their county fair does. But as for the atmosphere for the actual racing, of course it was pretty tense. Everybody knew it was going to come down to it, and there was a lot of discussion about that leading up to it. So it actually, I think it made the weekend that much better.
Well, we've got Ryan Kudla asking, what the hell is up with that quad? He didn't really reference any quad specifically. So, okay, pick a quad. Tell him what was up with it.
Well, it only had 3 wheels.
So,
what was up with that?
Yeah, what was up with the quad with 3 wheels?
Answer that one for us.
Yeah, there was that quad, and it had like that thing, and some stuff happened with it.
I know.
Man, that's rough for that quad.
Oh, and Caleb Russell's helmet cam.
Yeah, that makes much more sense now. Oh, there's something. Oh, you mean there's a reference to said quad now? Okay, perfect.
Okay, yeah. I've got it. I've got like the chat minimized over here. I don't know. It was funny. I was talking to Caleb after the race, and he was like, "Yeah, first lap, I come around," and he told me the 2-way. We call it the 2-way. It's the back side of the parking lot. You come across one side of the parking lot, and you run another section of wood, and then some cornfields and stuff, and come back around and go right back past where you just came through. When they're coming back through that other side, it's really super fast, and it kind of sweeps back right, going back towards what's now the motocross track. And you just see him kind of sweep around. He actually passes Jordan Ashford on the helmet cam and actually kind of sweeps around this hay bale, and all of a sudden there's a guy on the quad in the middle of the track.
And you're like, yeah, I do remember that now in the helmet cam. And even that was kind of like the whole thing of like looking for the Sasquatch with Stewart. And he was like, I don't know, man, somebody crossed the track and I went down, and he hurt his wrist at Thunder Valley. But this was not a Sasquatch. This was an actual quad, and it could have seriously hurt somebody.
That's like being at a local race.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot at the local races. Unfortunately, we have like zero control over those people. You can.
That's pretty much exactly what the deal was. Have no clue who that person was. It was actually it was 2 people, so that made it even safer, And
then we did have somebody in the chat room say they thought it was a track worker actually on a quad pulling a guy crashed, Derek Allen, at the 1 mile marker. So, if you don't know about that, Bolton, you're not doing your job.
I have no clue about the Derek Allen deal, and I actually haven't talked to Derek in a while, so I don't know.
Since West Virginia? I think that's the last time we talked.
What? No. I've talked to Derek since then and definitely brought that situation up again.
Everybody loves something scary and awkward when it brings back memories of great times. All right, dude. So then I have to say, being from the outside looking in, unfortunately didn't make it to any GNCCs this year. Got to watch, I would say, 60 to 70% of the webcast. It was one of those situations, a lot like with Seat Time. We're trying to figure out a way, so Seat Time is that people could, because right now you can only view it live. And if you're on your phone, like your mobile device, and you were to like put your phone to sleep, it kills your feed because of the fact that it's a video that you're playing. It thinks it doesn't, you know what I mean? So I have the same problem with the webcast, is that I can't listen to it like a radio show, and that's one of the things we're trying to figure out a way there. So when you're doing crap around the house and you're like, I'm going to mow the lawn, ooh, the webcast is on. And you just can't leave your phone on in your pocket because then you're going to speed dial, your ex-girlfriend or her baby mama or something, and
that's a
Don't
nightmare.
want to do that. That's awkward. What's that noise? I'm just cutting people up in the yard with my lawnmower. Don't mind me. Just trying to watch a GNCC race. So I didn't get to watch all of it, but from what I did get to watch, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the fact of what you guys are doing with the webcast. I know you're not too involved with that, but I love it. I hope they continue to do it for 2014. I know Jeremy Saylor told me that he's still working on, waiting on the go-ahead. He was the producer this year for the webcast. He was their Steven, if you will. Looking forward to hopefully getting a contract soon, and that pretty much says they're going to be doing it again. So.
Yeah, I think definitely with as much that was really popular this year. So it's definitely something we'll be bringing back. I imagine. I haven't heard anything any different. I did it I was actually one of the woods campers up until the summer break, and then actually right before the summer break, the snowshoe. I just kind of rode around and went to different spots and brought the footage back for the live feed. But after that, I ended up kind of switching things up and went back. We call it the Hooper Crew or NBC crew for just the regular Racer TV. And but still, like I said, it's really cool. And we did it at Loretta's, and actually we're doing it at Minio's too.
Oh, you're going to be doing the webcast there?
Yeah, at Minio's. Yep. That's
going to be awesome. Is that the one that's in Ponca City?
No. That's Florida. That's Gainesville, Florida.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. When you start talking motocross, you start talking way over my head. That's why I have guys like Mathis come on, because I don't even want to pretend to talk about motocross.
Mathis hates off-road.
Did you listen to the episode where he was on?
Yeah, I'd said the chat room probably 8 times. Just Mathis hates off-road. That's all I said.
So what you're saying is you were just as useful as ever in the chat room?
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's even better that, I really do not know Mathis personally, so it's even funnier.
It is. Well, I told him that I was going to meet him when I'm in Vegas at the Endurocross in a week. I guess a week and a half, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, Jordan, I know as we were talking when you were on the show, I think we were talking about it about 5 months ago. We could do the research, but honestly, we're lazy, so we're not. We'll call it 5 months ago. You guys were working, trying to, you were working, job, all this stuff going on. Are you guys kind of in the same place? Things changed a lot for you?
Yeah, I feel like we've got busier since then. It's like school full-time, Cooper's working full-time, I'm working part-time. It's crazy.
Ugh.
Doing the TMS deal when they have that going on, which is fun, but still a lot of work.
So tell us a little bit again about the mono bike.
Monocycle
is what you guys call it, because I think it's funny that what you do with this.
Well, I don't know. I'd get to ride it around and act like a fool, I guess, for Texas Motor Speedway.
So I guess maybe the best way for people to find pictures of this, if we should have prepared better and had some, but it would have been like Texas Motor Speedway monocycle.
Yeah, I don't know. I would look it up on my Instagram, and then.
But they can't because you're private.
You gotta add me. Go through my screening process.
Yeah. You like that? You see what I did there?
That was rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much stuff comes up when you
I don't know
Google
either.
it. It's like people take tons of pictures of it, but I don't know if those rednecks know how the internet, so they don't get them to the internet.
Dude,
I don't know how to work the interweb.
Whatever. Do you see how
So it's like I take thousands of pictures with people all weekend, but I've never seen a single one. So.
Well, yeah, but think about it. They got all the mud fleas and all the hill fleas at all these GNCC races. Those dudes post YouTube videos of all the shenanigans they do, so they know how to do something.
I don't know. I guess I'm on the wrong websites.
You are. Man, you guys go ahead with your little married life.
That just got
You
weird.
guys keep your websites out of this place. This is a totally G-rated show. But at least we talk about the same stuff, which is motorcycles, which is the sites that you're referring to. I would
Exactly.
assume. Definitely on motorcycle sites, absolutely. Specifically off-road. So it sounds like we've all thought that this year was fantastic. I know that you want to get back into racing, but you guys are working on family life and married life and making sure that's all square, which I think is smart. There have been too many people that have tried to just, live off of families and stuff like that to try to keep racing going and essentially keep a dream and a hope alive. So
yep.
Not that you guys aren't talented, but sometimes you got to know when to when to do it later in life.
Yep, it was tough, but I guess that's what we got to do for now.
That's okay. Obermeyer will always be there for you.
Yes. Shout out to you, Keith. Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God. We are playing Instagram videos on Sea Time now. Is that legal?
My bad.
I don't know. Is that legal? Are we going to get sued now?
I don't know.
We don't have that kind of money. I promise you. Absolutely not going to happen. All right. So,
Here we
bolt on. Round one, what I want to say is babes, bikes, and beer. Daytona Bike Week, right? That's the way I'm going to look at it. For round one, River Ranch, right before that, probably a little bit after before, Mullins comes out, gets the win, totally pulls off of some of the the momentum that he had with this win in Ironman. Now, he did not race a lot in 2012 because of so many injuries. So I thought it was a really good showing that he won. Of course, we see Caleb Russell in second, and then Josh Strang in third. As well, Russell, just you knew that, as DeLong likes to put it, blood in the water. Like, you knew that Russell was going to come out super strong. And Josh Strang, super excited to see him on the podium because of the fact that he hadn't been GNCC racing for quite a few years at that point. So, consistently anyway, because of his leg injuries the year before he quit, or the year before he couldn't come back, if you will. So, I mean, what did you think of kind of how the XC1 class broke down while we were at River Ranch, Florida?
First, Strang actually only missed last year. He actually broke his leg at the very last race in 2011. So that was really all he missed was last. And actually, he did it was the John Pinton he did last year. Anyway, getting sidetracked there.
Hey, I like it when you correct me because it makes you sound smarter and me more dumb.
Yeah, good brain stuff. But yeah, River Ranch was it was one of those races that you never really know exactly what's going to happen. And really anytime we go to Florida, the track we've changed the track there several times in the past. Well, we've been to River Ranch for a few years, but there for a while it seemed like I think it was a different track for like 3 or 4 years in a row. But that's the thing about it, being the first race, being Florida, you never really know exactly who to pick. But I think everybody had a clear favorite between Charlie, Caleb, and Whibley at that point because, of course, being the defending champion. So obviously Charlie came out on top there, and Charlie's always been strong in Florida, so it's really kind of no surprise there.
Yeah.
That made no sense, but whatever.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just going to end this really random with a very solid statement. There's no self there.
Yeah.
Period.
So I said some words and stuff about that.
Dig it. Well, from your, extensive feed bank of knowledge, do you have anything to say about nasty-ass sand tracks?
I feel like Florida is like the one race of the year where it's like everyone seems to train for Florida right before, but nothing else is like Florida. So you never know what's going to happen, and then everything changes after Florida. Because there's no other track like it.
That's a really good point. So from your perspective, as a racer who's raced this race, tell us, never even seen it, never touched dirt there. What's the track kind of like? What do people prep for?
Sand.
Lots of it?
Lots of sand.
Lots of sand.
It's ugly.
And
I don't like sand.
Is there a good place to go do that? Like maybe the beaches of Munster or something?
I would say around here,
we
can't get that much sand around here. Bonita, I guess, just to practice whoops.
There's a lot of those nasty sand.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Nasty, will eat you. I can't imagine what the afternoon race is like, but by the end of our race, it's 6 foot deep, it feels like. Whoops. So it's pretty nasty. There's nothing in Texas to train for it.
That sounds like you got to do a lot of wall squats.
Yeah.
Because your thighs and your quads and stuff would just be and your gluteus maximus.
Definitely. And then you throw in the mix of the palmettos, and it's what the crap?
And do the palmettos actually, they're abrasive, right? The leaves can actually kind of cut you and stuff.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm
more worried about just making through.
You're I don't go that fast, or you just go too fast. You just go so fast.
No,
Jordan, don't come by me.
No, definitely not. They just kind of brush me because I'm just crawling through.
That's okay. Your crawl would be much less crawl than mine. I'd be like.
Now, the best part of Florida, I would challenge anybody to come do it, would be to come clean up arrows and tape the next day.
Oh gosh, no thank you.
It's great. It's so much fun. Somebody should come do it. Seriously. It's great.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it.
Now, in all seriousness, the most fun I've had in a motorcycle in a long time is going out and pre-riding part of the track on Monday. Since that one we do it different, we race quads on Saturday, have a bike practice Monday, and race bikes on Tuesday. Sunday evening after the quad race, we start going through with the Swakos and the dozers and basically just smooth everything back out after the quads are done. And actually, honestly, like the most fun I've had on a motorcycle in a long time is riding that track on Monday, because it's bermed up and it's a little bit whooped out, but overall it's like awesome. You can just hammer into the corners, and like I pretty much suck, but I had a lot of fun riding that track.
Wait, so you're telling me that when we then hit the track on Tuesday, that's after being smoothed out?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But-
All right. You should 1 year, just 1 year, let it just go. Like, don't
yeah,
smooth it out.
Yeah, that'd be miserable.
Nobody would have any fun.
See who the
Really,
real men are.
it deteriorates a lot quicker on Tuesday because the whoops have already developed, and basically it's just smoothed back out. It's not packed in like super hard like it would if it sat for even a week. So that's why it really does. It does go away a lot quicker.
Nice. Well, we're to tell everybody in the chat room, in case you guys were wondering what the monocycle is, Jordan's actually posting up a couple links to her. Well, I put it in the chat room, so you can go to the link in the chat room and click on that, and you can actually see her on the monocycle.
Can I post the video?
Yeah. What you do is grab that. You can push this little guy right here, and do copy share URL,
Okay.
and then go back to Safari into the chat room where you signed in.
And just share it
This
in
is
here?
this is teaching and learning at the same time, folks.
We are multitasking.
Yes, at the same time. And you can paste that in there, and that way they could see the video, because she was doing 40 miles an hour on this monocycle, so it was pretty intense. Okay, kind of, yeah, and then I thought it was neat that Osborne was out there racing in the XC2 class. So it was really cool. You know, we had Andrew DeLong, first place in the XC2 class, Jason Thomas, and then Zach Osborne in third place. Somebody in Racer Productions, did you guys have fair warning that he was going to be coming out there?
Yes. Yeah, the best I can remember. I think that there was some rumblings beforehand that he was coming, if I remember correctly.
And was everybody like, yes, or like, holy crap, he's going to beat our guys, what do we do?
No, I mean, people are. I'm always stoked when people like that show up, so it's pretty cool. And actually, pretty interesting. We're actually there's a GP race this Saturday in Morganton, North Carolina, basically opposite side of town of Steel Creek.
Yeah.
And it's offering up like a $2,000 pro purse with $1,000 to the winner.
Whoa.
And I Instagrammed the flyer today, and Osborne saw it, and he said, may have to check that out. So
Awesome.
this could get really good.
So
really
two
cool.
really cool things came out of that. One, Zach Osborne might be doing some more off-road racing, and two, you now know that Zach Osborne follows you.
Yeah. Actually, I figured that out a couple of weeks ago. It was really cool.
Oh.
That's
It made me
pretty
feel like less lame.
Well, I mean, don't let it go to your head too early in life.
Well, yeah. It's still the only like moto guy that I know, so it's all good.
It's all good. It is all good. And I thought it was interesting how awesome DeLong did at that race. He rode like a bat out of hell. Obviously, Jason Thomas and Zach Osborne, that they rode really hard, but Jason Thomas rode really smart in the sense that he was like, is Zach Osborne a guy who rides 30-minute motos, not going to be able to make it 3 hours? And he kind of played the card and was able to make a pass on him in the last lap to be able to get into second place in front of Zach. So it was really good racing to be able to watch and to be able to see everything go down. So that was on Tuesday, and then we come to the next Sunday, and we go to the General in Washington, Georgia. What's the drive time for you guys when you're coming from Daytona up to the General there in Washington, Georgia?
River Ranch is actually 2.5 hours south and sort of west of Daytona. So it's about 8 hours from Daytona to Washington, Georgia.
So
and
how many parties are there between Tuesday night and Sunday's racing?
None.
Oh.
Because literally it is, we get up Wednesday morning, and at 8 o'clock we're out there pulling arrows and reclaiming everything, packing everything up. And usually the past 2 years I've got done with everything I needed to do and helped with even more, and been left there at about 3 o'clock and drive 8 hours to Georgia and you get up at 8 o'clock. You're at the track at 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday.
And then you're just making the track?
Yep. All over
Sounds
again.
like a real job.
Yeah. So everybody that's like, yo, you've got the best job. It must be so easy. It must be so much fun. Think about that one.
Yeah. Think about how much that would suck. So
Yeah.
we got to see Charlie Mullins get the win in Florida. Well, then Caleb Russell came and got the win there at the General. Mullins in second and Thad Duvall in third. A lot of people were wondering, how Thad Duvall's going to do. He showed some promise next year, so it's good to see him on the podium there at the General. And then, of course, we see Russell get the win over Mullins there. So it's like, oh, shoot, this kid don't play.
What's up?
Yeah, got to just throw it down. So again, I'm going to call on you a lot about this kind of stuff, but I really want to get your perspective as a person being there and kind of like being able to be in the scene. What was it like for you being there and being able to see all this go on?
It's really funny. You go to Florida, it's like its own race. It's completely different, just like Jordan said, completely different than anything. And you go to Georgia, and a lot of times people say Georgia is the first true GNCC of the year. So Georgia's a good track. We've been going there for a number of years, and they also have a lot of local races there. So the trails are really rough. Track's really rough, and it's really hard packed, and it's really fast. So the key there is you got to be smart. Honestly, trying to think back now, there's nothing that really stands out in my mind about that race because I actually sat in the lift above the finish line for 3 hours. So I didn't see much of the pro race.
At least he's honest.
One thing,
Yeah. Were you like a camera guy? What was your deal?
yeah. That was for the live feed.
Oh, okay.
So one thing I do remember was Jason Thomas and Jed Haynes. It was still like they had a few laps to go, and they were actually kind of dicing back and forth. There's a little section that kind of zigzags before the finish, and you went in the woods and ran a little piece of woods and come back out into the actual finish. And they're kind of dicing back and forth through that, and then I don't even remember exactly what happened, but it was like Thomas clipped a hay bale or something and just completely ate it over the bars right in front of Jed Haynes. Freaking classic crash. And I got a picture of it too.
He told us this really, really great story just to be like, and I got a picture. So, all this stuff I'm going to say is about other people. It's all really about me.
Because I got a photo of it.
How can I bring it back to talk about... That's okay. I do that all the time. I start conversations just so that way I can be like, but yeah, that happened to me one time. See how I did that? Circle back. But, yes. Okay, so your experiences then at the General.
At Georgia. I like Georgia just because I hate Florida so much that it's like, yes!
Anything
but Florida. And it's awesome. But it's a tough race because you go from Florida to, I don't know, a few days later you're racing again. And like you said, it's an 8-hour drive. Everyone thinks it's like next door. Everyone hangs out and chills at the camp for 5 days. But no, you're driving and you're in the car again. And it's rough. Your hands hurt. Your body hurts. But it's not Florida, so...
Sounds like me after this past weekend. Oh my gosh. We'll talk about that later too when we talk about more fun stuff. And yes, I'm referring to racing, nothing weird. So we got to see DeLong get another win. XC2 Baylor, Grant Baylor come back. He didn't have that good of a Florida, but I think this too. People really didn't know what to expect from Grant Baylor at this point. He's kind of filling in for his brother, but not really. But then he comes in second. I think he did a really good job. And then of course we see Zach Osborne on the podium again. It was like, holy crap, if this guy stays around, we're in trouble.
And at a typical GNCC race, not a moto-like GNCC race.
Right,
so that was kind of shocking, I think, to a lot of people.
Crazy whoops and stuff. That's a solid point. So super fast. It sounds super rough. And what they say is a typical GNCC race. What would you say, in the past 10 years, though, Bolton? I know you kind of go back a little bit, and you've got some family that have been around for a while. How much have typical GNCC races changed? Say, give it a 10-year span.
Well, actually, it's changed a good bit just in the past couple of years.
Okay.
Buren Hamrick, who raced years ago, he was actually he was like a top A rider years back, late 80s, early 90s. He comes from, he's a North Carolina guy. A lot of you remember him. He was the guy that gave the awesome course descriptions with a really cool Southern accent. And so he was laying out the tracks from really quite a few a long time. He was doing a lot of the wood stuff and everything, and he'd make the tracks fast. He kind of made it where everything was really fast. And Buren still does a lot of local races here in North Carolina. He runs the Mid-East Hare Scramble Series, and I go to a lot of those. And Buren absolutely loves to send you through like the nastiest things he can find. Absolutely loves it. So then in 2011, when Barry Hawk retired at the end of 2010, started talking with Racer Productions and ended up kind of coming and helping out in 2011. And it was about partway through 2011, Buren decided that he wanted to focus more on doing his series and just kind of move away from the GNCCs. So that dumped everything on Barry. So obviously the last half of 2011, Barry was just kind of mimicking what Buren did, and everything was still kind of the same. Then last year, Barry's goal was to slow the tracks down more. We actually did that a lot, and we've been adding a lot more bike-only stuff in the past couple of years. This year, Barry kind of kept with that, kept them slower, but he made everything kind of twist more. Obviously, everything would always be you kind of go out, run around, come back. Now, Barry sets it up to where it's a lot of you'll go down, you're going down this way, and then 3/4 or a mile later, you're coming right back by, literally 100 feet from where you just were. Everything twists a whole lot more.
Right.
And it actually, doing that gives you more land to work with, and you can actually make the tracks longer.
Absolutely.
What about, like, locally we have a lot of issues with track cutting and stuff, especially if tracks run that close to each other. Did y'all have issues with that? I mean,
no, that's a very
if
valid
things are
question.
coming by that soon and that close, it's easier to cut 3/4 of a mile.
Right. What we do is we always put up anywhere that it's running that close together, where the mileage is that close together, basically it's lined almost the whole way with string. Because we all know you can blow through moose tape, but you're not going to ride through string.
That's for sure.
Because string hurts a lot. Trust me.
Oh, so like, I mean, just regular old like twine, kind of in a sense. Or
It
like,
is, yeah. It's tying twine is what it is. Yep.
So it's
it's thick too. It's thick. You can't. It's not like you can run into it and it'll
Like,
break.
take you off
If
your
you
bike.
run into it, yeah.
See, that's the thing is, and I completely, that is definitely a valid question, because we do come from a series where that does happen quite often. We do have kind of land restrictions, and you would kind of like, how do we suck the most amount of mileage out of this property? And that definitely does lead to some track cutting, because it's not super thick, bushy,
Right.
trees with a lot of underbrush. Sometimes it's because of our droughts. We get a lot of little to no underbrush. But that's interesting. I wonder how the promoters would feel about that if it was kind of a, hey, let's put some serious consequences in on these track cuttings. I could see it almost happening for sure at like a professional level with the GNCCs, but locally I wonder how many people would be like, I don't know.
So yeah, it's string or that, and a lot of times we'll put a checkpoint where if you actually
Right.
one of our electronic checkpoints will be there. Like if it's short enough where you could just kind of ride under it, lift up and go under it and keep going, there'll be a checkpoint down there.
Yeah.
That you'll miss.
And that's smart too. They did a lot in enduros, a knob check. You put a knob check out somewhere where maybe in that case where you could see a certain spot and stuff, which is really smart to do. Well, cool. Well, that's good to know, because that's something we could maybe start talking to some promoters about around here.
So honestly, if you ever think about course cutting at a GNCC, it is specifically laid out that if you cut the track, you're gonna. I mean, it is laid out with that fact in mind that you're gonna get caught.
I'd be too scared because I'm afraid I'm gonna get lost out there. There's so much land. I feel like it's like, oh, I'm screwed out here in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, now I know. I'm afraid I'm gonna have my head taken off.
Add another fear to the list.
Right. Oh, sort of. So we moved next to Morgantown, North Carolina, for the FMF Steel Creek, and we saw again the change come back with Mullins getting first in the XC1 class, Caleb Russell then coming in second, and Chris Bach coming in third. I think we've already determined at this point, we're like, holy crap, yeah, it's going to be a Mullins and Russell for sure. Where's Wibley? When he's going to kind of come into this, and when is it going to kind of get him? We saw Strain do so well in the first round. When is he going to start coming into play? Duval, stuff like that. And now Chris Bach. We're like, oh man. I was like, okay, a whole nother guy coming into play, and and essentially a full privateer at that point, being able to come up there and yeah.
Hey, we're live again.
Oh, here we're live again. And somebody's pushing buttons and not telling us. That's when we look like awesome people. So professional. So we were talking about FMF Steel Creek. It kind of was one of those situations where I think we had seen Mullins and Russell go back and forth already. You're like, all right, these guys are going to do awesome. But who else is going to start coming into play? And we see Chris Bach, a completely new third-place person on the podium. So with Chris Bach being a privateer, was that something that people were kind of talking a lot about? What were the expectations kind of from y'all's side of the fence on Chris Bach and how he would do this year?
Honestly, I knew Bach would be strong, especially at Steel Creek. He actually stays here in town where I live, and may actually even be moving in with me.
Hot.
But yeah. So obviously Steel Creek's only about an hour from here. So obviously he rides a lot. When he's here, he rides a lot of the same terrain. And he had a good program. Even though it was a full privateer effort, he still had a lot of good support. And like I said, we all knew that at some point he was definitely going to shine. And that's kind of the first race of the year that he really popped up.
Yeah. Now, as a good way to think about where we just came from in Georgia to Morgantown in North Carolina, what are the big variances in tracks that a lot of the riders are kind of trying to pay attention to?
It's like two completely different types of terrain. Everything in Georgia is really flat, and it's really like gradual elevation change.
Mm-hmm.
Steel Creek is like truly, if you go up the road another 10 minutes, it's like some of the most rugged terrain on the East Coast. Everything at Steel Creek's very mountainous, and all the hills there are you're either going basically straight up or straight down. And that one, it's another place that we don't really have. There's not a lot of room to work with. We've been going there since 2000, so a lot of the usable room has kind of been used, obviously. So same trails get used over and over again, which makes them really, really rough. And that place gets really, really whooped out.
But not sand whoops.
Not sand whoops.
No.
Which makes me very happy.
Actually, it's the most bizarre thing ever. There's actually along the creek, it does get kind of sandy. And
It's
actually on the backside of the parking lot. But it's a very weird sand. It's not like Florida. It's kind of a rocky sand in a way. It's weird. But it's a lot of fun. It's actually, I think it's more fun than Florida sand.
Wait, he just say Florida sand is fun?
No, he said it's more fun than Florida sand.
More fun.
Maybe that is a cut to thinking that Florida sand could be fun.
Could be fun. Hey, some people like it.
It could be.
Some of us just don't.
Like I said, if it gets blown out and
Yeah.
moved back over, then it's fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Or if you're out there for like 30 minutes and then you can go back to your truck for 2 hours and then 30 minutes again, it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that could be fun.
I think this was interesting because this is in the XC2 class. We saw Aaron Plessinger come over with the win. Jason Thomas in second and Grant Baylor in third. So this is where we see the points really start to come together for Jason Thomas and Grant Baylor. But then Aaron Plessinger coming in first place was very impressive. We did know going into the season that he was going to have kind of a truncated GNCC season because he was going to start focusing a lot more on motocross, which
I think he chose
paid
well.
off quite well, yeah, because then he won at least one class
at Loretta's.
But at least one. Was it?
Yeah,
more than
I watched
one,
most of those, but I don't remember.
Well, I'm sorry. I was reading something in the chat. I'm sorry. I got zoned out there.
He did. It was kind of scary, wasn't it?
He's
We're
Zombie.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Aaron Plessinger, how well he did at Loretta Lynn's. We said we knew we won at least one title there, but do you know if it was more than one?
I think he actually won both the classes he raced, if I remember correctly.
And do you offhand recollect how old he is?
I don't think Aaron's but like 17 or 18.
So he's got a whole nother year of going back to Loretta Lynn's.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, that's neat because of the fact that you got guys talking about how like off-road sucks, like a Steve Matthews kind of character, as you would like to say, Mr. Bolton. But in reality, I mean, we could be just as fast in some, or there are select riders who can be just as fast in the motocross world. They just have to practice at it. And he took the time, did it, and bam.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see like the off-road guys going and doing really well in motocross, and same for motocross guys like Osborne stuff coming over and doing well too. It shows that they can mix it up. Some people can, and it not be like total trumping.
Yeah. One
over the other.
I pretty much suck at everything, so.
Yeah, me too. It happens.
I just go, gosh, man, one day I'll ride better. That's like saying one day I'll stop drinking. Probably not going to happen. So we move a little bit more further into round 4 with Big Buck. We see Mullins come away with the win in the XC1 class. Then Russell in second. There's an absolute pattern here. And then Duval in third. So we're now seeing Duval on the podium again. He's pretty much the most consistent person on the podium besides Mullins and Russell
besides
at this point.
Besides the two.
Yeah, besides the guys that in the long run come down for the final championship there at the end. And being in South Carolina, how much does that change from what you guys see in North Carolina and from in Georgia? I mean, because I'd imagine it all kind of feels closely alike just because they're all regionally in the same spot.
Yeah, they're all the same, only different.
Go on.
Does that make sense?
Tell me about your words of wisdom.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a lot of red clay. It's all clay throughout. But then Big Buck's actually a lot different than both of those in that it's sort of flat too, but it has weird elevation changes where they just kind of there's a lot of gullies and everything will just drop straight off and then it comes back up.
Right.
And then it'll be flat and it just plateaus like straight off in multiple places. So, and the dirt there, it's still a clay base, but it can get really, really silty. And it's not full-blown sand, but it's sort of like the silt almost makes it feel like sand. But it also gets hard packed too. Oh wait, but again, there's also some.
But wait,
really good,
there's more.
There's also some really good like black and brown dirt there too. So Big Buck is actually a really, really strange mix.
I'm immediately listening to this, and I was about to pull up Google Maps just to be like, okay, how far is this? Because that sounds like a lot of fun.
And here's an interesting one for you. If you look, the 2014 National Enduro schedule has a Union, South Carolina round.
Yes.
That is the little brown jug.
Yes.
Which has been raced for, I think this year was like 60th year. And actually, the start this year, they changed it. So for 2014, it's going to be just like it was this year. The start and first section are at Big Buck.
Huh.
Parking, the start, first section are all at Big Buck.
That's cool.
And you went out and you go up the road and actually run 2 sections of property that Randy Hawkins owns.
What?
Yep.
You know him.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Maybe we could drive over there and stay at his house. I'm sure he'd love to have me.
At the bunkhouse.
Yeah, like actually where the race is at, he has a hunting cabin there, so wide open.
Dude,
Have
I'm
at it.
like, Randy, I'm going to come stay there on Friday night. Please don't stop by. You're not going to want to see me in the state that I will be in.
Yeah. You know what? If you get to know Henry Turner, the guy that owns Big Buck, and if you told him you were coming and needed a place to stay, he would probably build you a house there.
Can I move there, Henry Turner?
It's quite possible.
He'd probably let you. Henry's just cool like that. Henry's the man.
I'm gonna tell him. Bolton said I could move here. You were gonna build me a house yourself.
I'll stay in regular touch with him. That's how cool he is.
Now I feel nice because you at least talk to me like once a day. So
Yeah.
All right, so 14 hours and 40 minutes from my house. Probably not going to happen.
That's not that far, really.
It's really not.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll let Bailey drive, and we'll get there in 13 hours, but we won't stop at once.
You will not stop to pee. Trust me.
It was good, too, for XC2 guys, because Andrew DeLong came over with another win. Grant Baylor is starting to show a little bit of why he won the championship in the XC2 class, and then Aaron Plessinger again on the podium, but then he kind of disappears a little bit for moto stuff. And I believe round 5, Andrew DeLong was at Mammoth, and this was the one that was the crazy muddy race in Kentucky, in Park City, Kentucky. And Andrew DeLong was there, but he had bike issues and didn't finish, if I believe that's correct. And it was after that is when he had his hand injury. Do you remember how the timeline worked out on that?
Yeah. He raced Kentucky and actually had a bike issue.
Okay.
And then I think it was right after that he that he hurt his hand because he actually tried to race Limestone, I think.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah, and he was just like, that's just way too worse. So this was the race where we got to see Duval come away with the win, especially when he was on his 250F, which a lot of people at first didn't realize why he was riding it, but I mean, it obviously paid off being in as muddy as it was. Josh Strang in second, best finish up to date for the year at that time, and then Chris Bach in third. XC2 was really cool. Big change up in the fact that we got to see a guy, Zach Nolan, who we had on the show right after, come in with the win. Jason Thomas in second, and Justin Sode in third. If I remember correctly, this was the one where Jason Thomas thought he had won, right? The XC2 class, but I guess at some point he had gotten past. Didn't realize he had gotten past.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's muddy, you don't know what anybody looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I couldn't tell who was who, especially the KTM guys because they all wear the same gear. Just everybody looked the same, literally. Everybody just looked brown. That race, I'm not afraid to say this, that race was a full-blown shitter.
And everybody was brown. They all dressed.
Yeah.
Literally, it was brown, so it was a shitter.
Hey-o! We just got the Jared Bolton smile. I dig it. It's kind of interesting. Justin Sode's on a beta too, so it's good to see a beta on the podium.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. Beta on the podium.
Beta on the podium, especially the mud race. But what's very interesting about this race is this race essentially created the craziness that happened at the end of the year with points, which is what totally screwed me up. It took a while for me to wrap my head around this, even though as I have gone back through the press releases, they absolutely state at the bottom, I think it's the third to last press release, national championships are based off of overall standing points. And if I'd have read everything, I would have known that. So this is the race where Mullins gets 14th overall, so he got some points. Russell got 59th overall because he didn't finish, and so that's where he got a big 0 in the overall points. And so later on, when Russell starts getting, so if you just looked at the normal points, it seemed like because Mullins had a bad race later on, and Russell had this bad race, you would think, okay, their points are still kind of close. But obviously, the streak of 5 races that Russell went on to win is where he really started to catch up on those overall points on Mullins. Bolton, tell me how wrong I was.
I'd like to forget Kentucky. Honestly, it was pretty.
All right,
miserable.
Scratch it. We're done. Moving on.
It was very, very miserable, and I honestly hate to say this because I am like okay, I remain neutral, but I ride a KTM, so I actually towed in the entire factory KTM team.
But luckily, at least not for the exact same mechanical, right?
No. In all fairness, it was a lot of different things, and in all fairness, there were a lot of people that didn't finish. The one, my favorite though was Caleb. He had broke once and went back out, and I had packed up all the camera stuff and was coming back in, and they had rerouted the track up onto the service road, so I was having to use the same service road to get back. So I'm having to pull over every little bit to let people by. And I pull over, and here comes Caleb and throws a fist pump and yells as he goes by. And then his bike literally grenaded right in front of me. And he just kind of coasts up around the bend. And I just
he got too cocky with the fist pump. He's like, Smack's like, no.
I just keep going, and I pull up, and he's just standing there laughing.
That's no fun for anybody except for you, because it sounds like you had a great time pulling people out.
It was great, yeah. Let me tell you. Okay, so that one was good. And
he's like, no, really, let me tell you.
Then the really interesting one was, it was probably a solid 2 hours after the race was over, was when I found Charlie Mullins.
2 hours after?
They were pushing his bike back up on one of the roads by the golf course, and Tony Hall I guess he had pushed it up the hill, and he was just leaned up on the bike like this, just I was like, you want me to just tow it now? So I towed him back, and then I find Takeshi Koiketa walking back to his bike with the Litz Racing guys. And for those who don't know Takeshi, he can speak English, but it's not like super, super easy for him. So I was like, okay, just get on with me and I'll ride you back to your bike. And as we're going back, he said, I was asking him where it was at and how it was stuck. And he's like, we have to push over a mountain.
You're like, no, I'll drop you off here.
I was like, no. I was like, I got a strap. We'll tow it. And literally, it was so bad where he was at that I literally towed him down a hill. I mean, literally pulled him downhill through this mud. And the front of I was in 4-wheel drive, low gear, going as hard as I could, and it looked like I had a snow plow on the front. And there's just mud just caking out like that. It just looked like I had a plow.
Awesome. See, now that's why I wish I could make it to more races, is to be in situations like that with you, Bolton.
Oh yeah, it would have been great. You should have raced it.
A bottle of Evans Williams pulling out riders. It would have been an epic time. Okay, so we'll move on a little bit to round 6, Limestone 100. Things get a little bit more interesting. I guess a little bit more normal, just because of the fact it's totally not a mud run. What are you pointing at?
We got a chat room question, and it's to ask me if I remember the shot of whiskey at the hotel Saturday night in Kentucky. And yes, I do, because it was the most delicious sip of alcohol I've ever had in my life. Because I was frozen and wet and cold, and it was Fireball, and it was delicious.
So it's like every Saturday night for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you need to find a lady. She'll keep you at least not as cold.
Yeah, so, hey, anybody
So
watching?
in that case, let's get Chris Bach to move in. Because at least, if nothing else, he's a good-looking man. Maybe you can meet up with some of his friends.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Catch them when they're on the walk of shame.
Can we post Bolton's number across the bottom of the screen? If single, please call.
The problem is I have a fear. There's the one lady in the chat room, Donna. After that,
is that Donna? Because she said something about scoring.
Yeah,
that's Donna.
That's
That's
Donna.
sign up, Donna.
Yeah.
Hi, Donna. Haven't seen her in a
that out a
couple
little
years.
while ago.
We've got celebrities in the house.
Celebrities.
Okay, so Limestone 100, we finally start to move north in the series. We kind of stay there for a good bit. With XE1 Mullins again kind of coming out there, Russell in second, Duvall in third. So that's we've definitely seen that podium before. Everybody kind of fighting for it, trying to get their points, trying to figure out how to beat the other guy. And Mullins really starts to look consistent at this point. And I think at this point, people were starting to think, oh my gosh, is Mullins going to be able to continue this walk?
That's kind of what we were thinking back home, watching online. It's like, I think Mullins has got this one.
Right. So we're not technically halfway through the series, but we're close. And so it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going on there? And then XE2, Grant Baylor, first place. And then again, we kind of see this, Jason Thomas in second and Jed Haynes in third. I think this is, again, where we start to see a little bit of that Grant Baylor, Jason Thomas battle. Mm-hmm. You know, how they kept so close in points. And there was times when Thomas would, really get really close to Baylor. Baylor would get really close to Thomas. So all kinds of fun stuff going on. Now that we've started to move north, though, what are the big course changes that you guys see in this situation where you kind of go from the southeast into kind of that northeast terrain?
Are we talking specifically of times?
No, yeah, I mean we're on round 6, so yeah, if you have something specific to that one, sure.
We'll let Bolton take this because I've never.
Well, Limestone, that's Indiana, that's from the Midwest.
I mean, I don't do math, so regionally, I don't know where it's at either.
That's geography. Sure. Yeah. Anyway, it's that place is actually a riding park, so there are trails everywhere. Last year was the first year we went there, and I remember it specifically because I came back for lunch after moose taping on Thursday, and I think I'd done all of 4 miles. And I started at 8 a.m. So 4 miles, I'd made it 4 hours. 4 hours to do 4 miles. So do the math there. That's 1 mile an hour. That's great. But anyway, it's that track, it's really kind of not like any other in a way, I guess. It's kind of hard packed, kind of gets polished off really good. Nothing that there's not really anything that stands out in my mind, but it's actually like the rockiest place in Indiana I've ever been.
So it's like nothing like Crawfordsville.
No, it's almost like completely different, like almost the polar opposite of Crawfordsville.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's different.
Well, at least we've got one person in the chat room that agrees with me that math is hard.
Hey, VMAR, yeah.
I agree.
Math is hard.
That's always, whenever I don't really have anything good to say, I just like to say I'm not a mathematician, because if nothing else, people are like, that doesn't have anything to do with math. And you're like, at least I know you're paying attention. So.
And it's funny that VMAR says that, because she's actually smart.
Because she's actually smart.
So when I say math is hard, you're like, yeah, that's because you're dumb. But when she says it, it's like, oh, that's
like,
weird.
wait.
She's really intelligent.
Math's not really hard.
Thanks, Bolton. Thanks.
Always got something good to contribute.
I agree. That's why we have you on, because we love talking with you.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I like looking at you. Hey, that's very suave of you to do that look for me. I like how Steven switches to your face, too, when you do that. All right, so we go to round 7. We're still kind of kicking it through the, moving up to the summer break. So the John Pinton. And I thought it was really neat. Wasn't this the one where actually John Pinton was out there and he did a little bit with Jen Kenyon, and they kind of were like, oh my gosh, can we get him to stop talking?
Yeah, actually, I think every year I've been there, John has been there. Super cool guy. You know, like I said, he's been there every year I've been there, but this is actually the first time that I've actually met him. And he is actually a super, super cool guy. Super awesome. I'd love to, actually kill a lot of time just talking to him and hearing some of his cool stories, because I'm sure he's got a ton of awesome stories.
I would agree. There's a guy like that comes around, Steve Levan's father, Frank Levine. But the problem is you got to make sure that if you ask him a short question, you have at least 30 to 35 minutes for the answer. And if you ask him a detailed question, that you have at least an hour for the story. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic storyteller, and they're very, very funny. But he's slow, he's just methodical, but yeah, he's a really cool dude. He is. Stories. So, I mean, he's no John Pinton, but still, he is Steve Levan's dad.
He's our local.
Yeah, he's our John Pinton. So this is where we got to see Russell start to do what I don't think a lot of people expected at this point kind of in the series, is when he really started to take control. And it got people thinking, is something wrong with Mullins? So this is where we saw Russell take the lead on his 5-run of the series. Mullins in second, and then Strang in third. So it's good to see Josh Strang back on the podium. I know he said at the end of the year he definitely didn't have the year he wanted. We know he's definitely a contender when it comes down to being a champion. I think he's, with his new program that he's kind of put together, he's really trying to get things sorted and get things figured out. And it sounds like he's even doing a big bike swap next year, maybe going to Suzuki or Yamaha. I don't know if that's actually figured out yet. So it might be another kind of, top 3 to 5 for Strang next year as he kind of gets all that sorted. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to really kind of get settled into his program before he can really start to challenge the top guys all the time. Getting
readjusted back to the GNCCs. I know he wasn't gone that long, but still, that's time away from the tracks and everything. And I know GNCCs, it's a lot of knowing the tracks and remembering the tracks and the terrain and everything. So being away from it and then coming back, you have to kind of re-get into that.
Right. And I don't even remember anything, so
I have a terrible memory too.
It's gonna be tough for me.
Track memorization is terrible.
Yes. I don't get that too. And that's what I liked about Toro, one of our local series, is they used to do really small amount of practicing, so that way you didn't get a chance to memorize the track, so you kind of had a little bit more technical, a little bit longer track, less time to memorize.
Exactly.
Which I actually enjoyed more. But that's a side note. So XC2, Grant Baylor in first, Davis in second, and Zach Nolan in third. Again, so we don't really see Jason Thomas in the top here. Do you remember what happened to him at John Pinton, Jared?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was a bike issue. I do remember that.
All right, they might have been talking about it in the chat room because I remember people talking about him being on a 125. I'm wondering if this is one of the ones where he was on it.
No, he didn't ride the 125 until like
The very
Gusher.
end. Yeah,
It was the Gusher.
Yeah, he was 17th in the XC2 class here and only ran 4 laps, and it looked like everybody else was doing 7 laps. So yeah, I would assume it was definitely bike troubles because he was right back at it after the fact.
It was because I remember. I don't want to say exactly what happened, but there was a little bit of a slight bit of drama that happened, but it wasn't involving.
He always knows the drama.
Yeah, there was a slight bit of drama with the KTM team and him.
Explain.
We're waiting.
Well, I mean, they're trying to pit their riders, and he like stops and was asking them to fix his bike
Oh.
in the middle of the race while they're trying to, do their thing.
Well,
And I think he was pretty mad about it.
So he was asking someone who's not his teammates to fix his bike?
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, we could definitely take that for what it's worth, or for what people think it is worth. That makes I'm just like kind of dumbfounded by that. You're like,
See?
no, I'm on a KTM. You have a KTM tent. Can't you fix my bike?
Don't worry about those guys that are winning the XC1 class.
No,
Come on.
I'm on a KTM and you have a KTM tent and I'm further to the right, closer to the track than that guy. So you should fix my bike.
It'd be like some random Joe. That'd be funny.
me. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. First time I go racing GNCC, that's what's gonna happen for the industry class.
Act like
You, Charles, come on. Hey, you don't worry about Mullins' bike. Get over here and fix this thing. Love it. So now that we know I've got a career ahead of me. I'm the guy that gets kicked out of every GNCC for 2014. But so round 8, the Mountaineer, Mansontown, West Virginia. Tell me about all these West Virginia towns built on, because Mansontown sounds scary.
Isn't it Masontown?
Masontown.
I'm saying Manson because Manson, like...
Okay.
Oh, well...
It's Mason?
Okay, so Masontown
like
is...
Mason...
Mason jar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it got its name.
Wait, really?
I don't know. I'm just making that up.
I'm okay with it.
All right, we'll go with it.
I mean, I'd know who to ask. Our sweep rider, Tommy Harris, that's where he's from. Actually, the Masontown track, he could like ride through the woods there on his bike from his house. That's pretty cool. But that track is actually, it's right outside of Morgantown, West Virginia, which of course is where Racer Productions, MX Sports, Racer X, that's where the office all is. So that's kind of like, that's the company's home race. Even though it's like 6 hours for me, it's the company home race. Track's really cool. Obviously, it's West Virginia, so it's a rocky, mountainous track. They used to have like these big hippie music festivals there, so there's like all sorts of stuff to find in the woods, abandoned cars and stuff. And
Really?
last year we found a camera bag with like this necklace with like these crystallized rocks on it.
And this is like 2 years old, or this is like 10 years old? Like what? When were these hippie festivals?
I think the last time they had it, it's not been that long, but it's been a few years.
So what you're saying is
what'd
I
you
should
do with
go
that
back.
jewelry?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jordan would like that. She's a hippie.
Sorry, I kept it. It's my magic. It's like
You don't want to know where he keeps it.
man,
No.
that's the forces of nature, man. It puts me at peace, man. Like one with Mother Nature.
It's his manta for his D&D games. Oh my gosh, I love you. Well, it sounds like a place I'd like to go because I like hippies. That's fine. They do their thing. I do mine.
Yeah.
I like riding dirt bikes, so if I can ride dirt bikes where hippies were, I don't know.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, why not? Hey man, you want to ride dirt bikes? Yeah.
Oh, that's actually the other thing I found there. We don't have, there's kind of the East Coast, once you get kind of really probably like east of Ohio. And well, I mean, there's some decent, I'm not a hunter. I don't really know much about it. You don't, especially in the Southeast, you don't see like huge deer. And West Virginia, I'm kind of including in there. They don't get like super big, but I think it was Thursday when I was out riding around putting up arrows. I found the skull of a deer in the rack, and it's just like, I mean, it's huge. It's like an 8-point buck, like that big. So I just took that sucker and I strapped it on the front of my 4-wheeler, man. Rode the rest of the day like that.
Yeehaw!
Just like Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard.
So did that? You didn't keep it and like put it in the GNCC trailer?
I kept it. It is sitting in my garage right now.
Nice.
Wait, when is your little rooster fella going to join us on Seat Time? That's totally
It's
off
sitting in
topic.
the garage
I'm sorry.
too. It's hanging out.
Does he
in
have
the
like a little shelf on the Elf that's not on the show right now?
Yeah, like he posts pictures of it, like he goes on
You've never
adventures
seen
with him.
Chester.
Chester.
How have I missed this?
I don't know.
Oh my God, that was like my find of the century at a track. I found it in Georgia this year
Sorry, I totally got us off topic.
and used it to block a trail.
That's okay. I've got a mission for you. I'm going to do a quick little break for one of our sponsors. Would you go run and grab Chester?
Right now.
Done. All right. So as Bolton goes and grab Chester really quick, I wanted to say thank you very much to one of our fantastic sponsors, Fly Racing. So the guys at Fly Racing have done a great job at creating a lot of great gear for all you moto heads out there. So if you haven't heard of Fly Racing, you obviously can go check them out at flyracing.com. Or maybe you haven't been paying attention to, anything that's going on in the industry. If not,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
okay.
you haven't been around long.
Yeah, see, what the hey, man? What the hey? What's neat, though, is that we have a really good partnership. They help us out, and we help them out. They're kind of like, hey, this is what's going on right now. These are the kind of products we want to talk about. And I'm like, cool. All right, are these products that I'm going to want to use? And they're like, yes. And so we talk about it, and I go, absolutely, you're right. So one of the ones that I want to use is because I have little girly hands. I'm not going to... Oh, God, I do remember this. I'm not going to say that I have man hands because I don't. I have little tiny girly hands, and when it's cold outside, they get really cold. Like, I have to shove little heat packets in my gloves when I race because they just, I don't know. Apparently, I don't circulate blood well. I don't know what the deal is. So, in this situation, I have to figure out how to get really good gloves that are really warm and work well in the cold situations. And what's neat is Fly Racing has their Tidal gloves. They're very winter specific. They come in long and short. So if it's snowing outside, you can get the long ones. If you're riding in snow, you can get the long ones. If it's short, like it would be in Texas, you would not need the long ones because we're not going to have snow. And if we have snow, I'm not riding it. I'm going to be curled up by a fire, hanging out, doing absolutely nothing because I don't want to be outside until my daughter's like, let's go make a snow angel. And then I might be outside.
And then you'll use the gloves.
And then I would totally be like, send me the long gloves! Send me the long ones! But so, please, go check out flyracing.com. You can go to, up at the top on the website. It's going to be like Moto. You can go to gloves and scroll down a little bit and check out the Tidal gloves there. You can purchase them through the website, or you can go to your nearest dealer and you can pick up some Tidal gloves there. If they don't have them in stock, yes, you can order them. Do it. Please check them out. We thank Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. So Bolton is back with Chester.
Welcome, Chester.
Hello,
Welcome.
Chester. Welcome to the show, buddy. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the Mountaineer.
Hey, stroking my cock.
Hey, I didn't mean to go there, but I totally did. If Chris Bach was there, what would he be doing to your cock?
Probably have it in his mouth.
I don't know, man. That thing looks pretty dirty.
It is dirty. It hangs out in the garage.
The life of a single man.
Yeah.
The life of a single
When you get
ginger.
married, those are the first things to go right there.
God.
Whatever, she's going to want his cock around the rest of her life. Hopefully. That's like a yard dome. You can't not have that.
Well, he just needs to be repainted.
No. You got to dirty him up some more. You got to put your cock to use.
Dirty.
It's got to have some wear and tear on it.
Y'all are killing me.
We pretty much have the sweetest woman in the world who doesn't curse or drink or anything on the couch while we have this conversation. And it almost makes me feel bad. Almost. What makes me feel good is that Kurt Caselli's jersey is so close. It makes
Romance.
it almost okay. So we were talking about Mountaineer, and we moved on to Jared Bolton's cock and his 8-point rack that was next to his cock. And we moved on to round 9 of Snowshoe, which is still a race I want to make. I'm going to keep talking about this because it's fun. What's my dad telling me?
Great for Christmas lights.
Oh, okay. It's
Chester?
Sometimes my dad watches the show, and so I was just like, oh, God, we've talked about Jared Bolton's cock so much. My dad is now texting me to tell me that the show absolutely sucks. So it's like, Dad, don't worry. If I talk about Jared Bolton's cock this much, I know the show sucks. So it's not a big deal. So Snowshoe for me is one of those situations. I used to go do some national downhill events there when Norba was still around, and I loved those events. And so I always dreamed about going back and racing a dirt bike there. So one day I will be able to make it to Snowshoe to race a dirt bike on that terrain. So I can only imagine that is absolutely epic.
Yes, absolutely. If you're to make one race, make Snowshoe.
Boom. As long as it's not a mud run.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the natural springs and all that, so, but you just...
It's always muddy. If it's dry, it's muddy, but it's awesome.
Stupid natural springs. So, this is where we saw Caleb Russell. This is where he got his 3rd win in a row. Charlie Mullins in 2nd, and then Duval in 3rd. We saw XC2, Grant Baylor in 1st, Jason Thomas in 2nd, and Shane Hufford Jr. in 3rd. What was neat about the XC2 class this year, as we kind of started working our way into the later rounds, we saw a lot of guys... I would almost say come out of the woodworks.
Yeah,
guys
like randoms.
Good.
Yeah.
They're not bad riders by any means, but just guys you hadn't seen on the podium before in those top positions. So it was really cool to see that, kind of progress.
Yeah, it seems like you had the Baylor, Thomas, but then always some guy who was always fast but just had a good race, and he popped up in there, and it was kind of cool.
And it was cool too, as you saw, say Shane Hufford Jr. We saw more from here later in the year. So it's even better that it wasn't just a kind of a one-trick pony that race.
Right.
And by no means am I taking anything away from those guys because I couldn't do what they did. So, anything particular 2013 Snowshoe that sticks out in your head, Bolton?
As far as the actual race, it was pretty much like standard Snowshoe. Everybody knows Snowshoe is going to be gnarly, and everybody kind of preps for that. God, I don't know. Nothing really stands out about it being any different than years past, other than it just being really gnarly.
Okay.
Snowshoe's awesome, though. Just like everybody, I think in the chat room, it's been said a few times, like, if you make one race, Snowshoe's the one to make. It's awesome. It's a blast.
Yeah, that was the one that I was really hoping that this was a statement I made before I found out that we're having a new kid in March. But Snowshoe was going to be like our family trip. Like, that was going to be like don't double fist your cock. That is just awkward.
Cock's too heavy.
Yeah, gotta move it. But I thought that'd be really fun to do like a family, drive across the country kind of thing and just head out there with the RV and I would say a trailer full of dirt bikes, but at this point it'd be a 4-wheeler and a dirt bike because everybody else is too young. But hey, so it'll happen one day. Hopefully, once new baby's here and a bit bigger and easier to travel with, it'll be a good time. So, okay. So if we move on to Unadilla. Now Unadilla, this is after the summer break. So we go into the summer break, which was started right after Snowshoe. We go in there. This is interesting because Paul Whibley had his surgery, his sports hernia injury that he had, surgery on that. And his whole deal was he was going to try to be back by Unadilla. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to come back to Unadilla. And we talked to a couple people at Big Sky about the surgery, and it sounds like it was not just a tough surgery, but it was really tough on Paul because of the fact that he hadn't really gone through anything that it was kind of, I guess, so traumatic, and not just because of placement of the surgery, but traumatic because of this, there was no guarantee.
I also heard something crazy. I don't know if this is true or not, or even if this was supposed to be said or not, but I heard that he didn't want to be put under, so he had to find a doctor that would do it with him awake. Anybody know anything about that?
I have no idea.
Because I swear I heard that somewhere.
You know where a hernia is at, right?
Yeah.
In your genital region.
Right.
Who wants to be awake for that?
He didn't want to be put under anesthesia.
Chester.
Yeah, near your chest.
Near your chest.
That's insane. I mean, now obviously there's a difference between being put under and not having anesthetic, but still.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician.
Yeah. So. Boo. I'm glad to see that you're picking up on the whole thing I'm putting down here. Somebody said that the best part about Snowshoe is that the Starbucks 100 feet from the starting line.
That's got to be a girl.
Oh, it was Vimar.
I have to agree.
Wow.
But except that Starbucks doesn't support the Second Amendment, so I don't support Starbucks.
I hear that. Going.
Yeah.
So we make it to New York, New Berlin, Unadilla. Again, we're seeing Russell on a total rampage. Everybody really does start to think, it's like, oh my gosh, what has Mullins done wrong? Did he hurt himself and he's just riding through it? But, this whole time he's doing great, still coming in second.
Second place. Like, what's wrong with him?
Man, oh my God, that guy must be injured, can't get first. And then Josh Strang in third, so we're kind of seeing Josh Strang will be a little bit more consistent than he had been earlier on in the year. DeLong is back. DeLong is back in a big way because DeLong comes across with a huge win. Zach Osborne in second, and then Scott Grills, one of those XC2 guys who we kind of see popping up there on the podium. Now, apparently, this was like the most attended GNCC in history. Bolton, is that the number? The numbers work out.
Wow.
That's correct. I want to say, I don't remember exactly what, but it was super, super close to 2,000 riders, which is just completely staggering.
That's a lot of people.
What were riders? I mean, do you have numbers or no numbers before, let's say, the economy went bad?
That one's always been a lot. Season as a whole, the biggest one up until last year was 2007.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I think last year I believe we actually beat that for the whole year last year, and I haven't done any of the math for this year yet.
That's pretty cool.
Well, apparently Jordan just did a bunch of math because she's like, I'm not a mathematician. So I don't really know. I do know that this is the one that makes me always want to go to Unadilla. Because watching the motocross, on TV or watching the GNCC on the webcast, this looks like just an epic place to ride.
This is
like gnarly, but epic.
Although I say West Virginia is the one to go to if you're going to hit one, this is my absolute favorite track is Unadilla. It's awesome. I don't know what it is about it, but it's fun. I don't know. It's pretty sweet.
And this is the one with the big, what do they call it? The sky
shot.
Sky
yeah,
shot.
I like pancake over that thing.
Totally. I'm like 125 flat.
It's pretty big. Now I'll tell you what was really like. I've brought this up like probably 4 or 5 times since then. Tristan Landrum, who won the 200A class championship. I was standing on top of the sky shot when he come to it, and he rides a 125, and he just kind of comes out the way the approach to it is. You kind of come through off the U2, that's the amateur track, through a fence and on to the pro track. And basically you've got to run straight at the sky shot. And he come out of that kind of fast, and then it's like he was coming up to it, and it's like he wasn't going to jump it. He was just going to kind of come up and like kind of halfway jump it. And then it's like at the last second he decided, yeah, I want to hit it. And just rolled on the throttle and just hucked the living shit out of it. And cleared it. And it's not like that's hard to do on a 250F. It's like really hard to do on a 250F. And it's not easy to do on a 450, and he did it on a 125.
That's pretty awesome. Maybe he should go try
awesome.
some moto.
Yeah. He needs to jump on the Aaron Plessinger bandwagon.
Yeah.
Now, just as impressive as that was actually, I wasn't there, but they do the MX Rewind at Unadilla, which is like a vintage race, and Guy Cooper and Danny Laporte were jumping the sky shot on vintage bikes. And I don't mean like a Jerry Robbins vintage bike. I mean like dual shock vintage bikes.
Well, I have 86 400 Can-Am, and I would look at it and then look at the jump and look at it and look at the jump
and say no
and go ride like a field. Fast. I would totally open it up in the straight sections. Yeah, and get bucked a little. Would ever jump that thing?
Absolutely never.
There ain't no way. But Guy Cooper's been around for a long time, and he's badass. I mean, when you got badassery in your veins, it's just like... Psst.
It just happens.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Wasn't there also some drama at Unadilla, like, around that? I saw a lot of Twitter action.
Mr. Jason Thomas comes back into the picture!
More drama.
Yeah. I actually cannot comment on that.
All right.
Officially, he cannot comment on that.
But he took off his
Cannot comment on
GNCC
that.
jacket.
Oh, he did take off his jacket.
Yeah, it got hot in here. The heat kicked on.
That's because you pulled your cock out.
Pulled my cock out. It got hot.
Jeez, man.
All right, so
You gotta make-
can I make unofficial comments?
Absolutely. This is an unofficial show.
All right.
Okay.
I saw some Twitter drama about. I don't know if Thomas wrecked on that jump or something, but there's somebody wrecked and Thomas hit him. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, chat room something. But he said there was no flagger on the jump. A video then surfaced of the flagger on the jump waving the flag in Thomas's face. So I don't know, just drama, which is fun. I like to see that stuff on Twitter.
That's what Twitter's for.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way it breaks down. No, it's interesting. We did have we had Thomas. Oh, little much is going on over there. So don't pull out Chester anymore. Steven's getting a little excited over here and blowing his top. So what's interesting about that is we did talk to Thomas about that on the show. We did talk a little bit about with Bolton after that happened, and there's definitely two sides to that story.
Which there always.
There are two
Always.
sides to that kind of a story.
I just saw the Twitter side.
Yeah, no,
it was fun.
absolutely. What I think is interesting is that you're definitely with a rider like Jason Thomas, and we all know that he is very outspoken. Like he will, and that's okay. I think people like that are great in this world. They have an opinion, and they're gonna make sure that everybody gets to hear it. He definitely let everybody make sure that he knew that this was his opinion, and I think the Racer Productions did the right thing. They kind of like let the right information out and talked about it and stuff like that, and so but yeah, Twitter was awesome.
Twitter was awesome.
I as
that
well.
week.
I mean, this is a whole other subject we could talk about forever, but it's like I'm just kind of.
Scroll.
It's like I don't have to officially not say anything. Like Bolton can't officially say anything. So now this was a fun one though. So we move on to round 11, the Gusher. In Foxburg, Pennsylvania. Who names a race the Gusher?
The Gush. It reminds me of Gushers. Those fruit snacks.
There's all kinds of
every
stuff
time.
it reminds me of.
Oh.
It's just like, but it's the car mate Gusher. Like, and I had to Google it. So we were actually talking with Bolton after this race. And I was like, what is car mate? I was like, wait, I'm just gonna Google it. And they make trailers. Okay. And now that I understand that, I get that relationship. Sure. As a dirt bike racer, I am going to be looking for enclosed trailers at some point.
Yeah.
And if I think of CarMate and I know of CarMate, it's going to make a lot more sense. But when you just see it as the CarMate Gusher GNCC, it's like,
dun.
what does that title infer? Like, there's just no
It's almost
sense
like
there.
a wrestling match or
Yes.
something.
It's like MMA, the CarMate Gusher. So, but the dramatic part of it is that Russell wins again. And Mullins gets second.
Again.
And then we do see Thad
This
Duvall
is getting
in third.
boring, KTM.
Yeah, we should probably leave. Thad Duvall kind of starts getting whatever it was that he didn't have back together. So he's back on the
He's
podium
like,
again.
together,
Yeah.
together. But it's sad,
It happens. And then,
That's
so
about
now that
time.
DeLong is back and already won at Unadilla in the XC2 class, he wins again in the XC2 class. Jason Thomas in second and Scott Grill again in third. So we're seeing some good stuff there. And this was the one, Bolton, where the press release came out that was overall national championship standings will determine national championship. And I wrote my little note on that was idiot. Because all the questions that I had to ask you and all the questions I had to ask Charlie Mullins and all the questions I asked Hooper, I was like, oh man, it said it right there. Just totally like, and it's one of those where they had like an ampersand by the points. And then so at the very bottom, it's like,
This is what
lead
this
the
means.
fine legal print. Yeah, exactly. It's like, so. But tell us about the Gusher, because I remember when we talked, you had some good stuff to say about that race. You actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a really cool track. It's the lay of the land there is really strange because you think Pennsylvania, and I always think of Pennsylvania being kind of mountainous, especially that general area. Because I've been there before, like that general area before, and been riding and went to a local race there, and it's fairly mountainous. But actually, you get there, and basically, like 99% of what we race on there is almost completely flat or very, very, very minor elevation change. and then the property like basically slopes almost straight off down to 2 different rivers. So it's a really, really cool place. Track's really good. A lot of burberry bushes, which I'll probably still have some scars on my arms from those. Track was good. Racing was good.
Was that when you were in the woods with Chester?
Probably. No, Chester did not go to Pennsylvania.
Just the
Left him at
Burberry
home.
bushes and me and Chester.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Not the worst time?
No, it was not bad at all. I mean, it did turn into a mudder on Saturday for the quads, but it actually ended up being not terrible for the bikes. So it's pretty good.
Nice. That's because the quad pushed everything out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much that, and like the work we did changing the track.
Oh, right. No, and you did a fantastic job. I mean,
He was out there with a shovel,
yeah.
getting all the mud off the track.
I will never take credit for any of that because I am a very, very, very small piece of the puzzle.
Well, I mean, Chester in itself shows that to us.
Right, exactly.
Not the bigger rooster in the hen.
Yeah.
So, exactly. Very quickly, again, as we like to do on this show, we like to say thank you to the supporters that support Seat Time. And obviously our next supporter, and if you will, people that put ads on Seat Time. I like to look at it as just they like to put it's like a public service announcement. Right? To let you know about all the fun stuff that's going on in the world, and they help Seat Time out a little bit. So it's a fun time. Powersport Graphics, very well known to Mr. Bolton, and we're actually going to ask him at the end of this if they have anything fun going on that they would like to say beyond the norm. So what's the norm? What I like about Powersport Graphics is I can call them up and I can say, hey, I've got this really neat idea for a design, or I like what you did here in this design that you have on your website, but can we make a little bit of changes to it so it matches my team's colors, or it matches, the way that I would like my bike to look versus what you kind of have here in these stock graphics. Yes, you can make those kind of changes. You can easily call them up and you can make those kind of changes to it. You can add any of the stickers, any of your sponsors. If you even want Seat Time on there, they have all of that in there, so you can get that placed on your bike. As custom as you want to go, or as kind of off the shelf as you want to go. They got the whole spectrum. Of course, next day shipping if you order before 9 a.m. Pacific, which would be 11 a.m. Eastern. And then obviously we have a great discount code, which is Seat Time. That's all you have to do. It saves you 10% off of any order that you place on their website or through anybody that you can call in. It's greatness. Now, what was neat is they were offering a lot of deals for people when they were racing the last GNCC because of the breast cancer awareness. So I wanted to know, Bolton, if you guys are actually running any kind of fun, deals or anything like that towards the end of the year.
We have got a freaking awesome deal going on right now. It's our winter retail special, and you've actually got 3 different things you can choose from. You can get a free extra set of shrouds, airbox, and side plates with the purchase of a complete semi-custom graphic kit with matching number plates. And to get that, you just type in FREEWEAR, FREEWEAR, for those of you who are spelling challenged, in all caps at checkout. Your second option is you can get a free set of number plate decals with semi-custom graphic kit purchase if you type in semi-PPB at all caps at checkout. And your third and final option is 1 free set of number plate decals with the purchase of 2 ready-to-ship graphic kits with number plates. And the code for that are number 2, SPPB at checkout. So if you're smart, you choose option number 1 to get the free extra shrouds, airbox, and side plates when you buy a 1 kit. Freeware.
I like that. And if you type it into the chat room, it'll even be easier for people to copy and paste, right?
Right.
Because not only are people
are running around their rooms trying to find their pins.
They're like me. It's like not only are they spelling challenged, they actually have no memory as well. And so it's much easier when you can find a reference to that and just go swipe, boom. But it's even easier because you're watching Seat Time, and you can actually use your Seat Time discount code with any of the discount codes that Bolton just mentioned.
And if you can't really remember that, just look on Facebook. Power Sport Graphics on Facebook.
Look me up on Facebook.
It is on there.
This isn't.
It is a whole image.
Dig it. Well, cool. All right, so now we're going to start to wrap this up a little bit. We got 2 more races to talk about. We're at round 12, Powerline Park, St. Clairsville, Ohio. And this is the one that you actually asked earlier. Oh, was it like St. Clairsville, Ohio? When we were talking about one of the earlier ones with the Limestone 100. And you said, no, it's actually completely opposite of that one. So do you remember racing there
St.
at
Clairsville?
Powerline Park?
Yes, I do.
What are your thoughts
It
on
is
that
the
track?
most like Texas GNCC there is. It's hard pack and dusty, and there's that one giant mud hole. And that's really
But what I've seen from the pictures, they have people at the mud holes, in the mud holes,
yeah,
like under the mud holes.
we don't have that around here. People like run away from the mud holes or reroute around the mud
Which
holes.
is weird because there's enough PBR to kill a small village of children. So there's ample opportunity for these people to
Yeah.
be in the mud holes.
Yeah,
For some
definitely.
reason they're not.
Yeah, that track it's hard pack. I don't know, it's fast, very fast. I just remember it's the most like Texas, so I always kind of sort of liked it just because it was familiar.
Yeah.
But
So were you one of the ones that was crazy enough to just bonsai it at the mud hole to try to jump
gosh,
it?
no, it's like me and Cooper have this ongoing joke that I am the worst line picker through the mud holes. I'm the absolute worst in mud, and that's just how it is. So I would not
In
bonsai
Texas,
through
you
it.
wouldn't know to. I mean,
Because even if we have
We
mud in
cancel
Texas,
races
they
when it's
cancel.
muddy.
They're like, oh, there's a 20% chance of rain, so we're out of here. So no one knows how to ride the mud, and I'm one of them. So, yeah, the mud holes, I'm like tiptoeing through it, getting stuck, of course, because I picked the worst ones. I'm like, it looked really good. Cooper's like, it looks 6 foot deep. So
see how your bike's going?
yeah, that was not a good line. So, no, I know bonsai, but maybe I'd do better if I had. Through the mud.
I mean, if you look, what was it? I think it was Thad Duvall that completely cleaned out a mud flea. So, and I understand that they've got tons of tons of team guys down there, all the mud fleas, all those guys. They're like, they don't just want to be involved; they want to help, and so they're like pointing at lines and all those kinds of stuff. Well, so when you're watching this video that was online, it looked like Mullins and Russell both kind of took this kind of over the mud hole to the right into the woods from where this guy was standing. But Duvall took the line that was the same mud hole, but more to the left. So when he jumped the mud hole, he faded to the left. Well, he faded to the left, and there's a dude like pointing at a line, and he completely rails him in the head with his handlebars.
I shouldn't be
And
laughing,
the dude,
but I'm sure that was awesome.
he like gets so cleaned out that he like does a flip and lands in the mud hole. I mean, it was
Does he like
epic.
get up like, yeah?
No, because by that point the dude was just the dude videoing was so laughing so hard that I think he just stopped. But it was epic, and it was like one of those random shares that I just happened to be like somebody else commented on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So it's like,
Just,
what
like,
is
stumble
this? And
upon.
I watched it. I was like, I think it was Nate Canny maybe that shared it. No, Jimmy Jarrett. Jimmy Jarrett was the one that shared it. It was hilarious, dude. It's so funny. So
People are
that's the thing. It's
crazy
like I
down
want to
in
go
those
race at
levels.
GNCC, and I want to be a mud flea. So I've got kind of a double standard.
Well, you have to go twice. Or
See, you are a mathematician. You're really good at this.
I'm doing that college stuff.
Yeah, I left that a couple years ago. So, all right. So Powerline Park. What are your thoughts on that one there, Bolton?
It's slick if it gets wet. That place really it's this gray clay. It's really weird. Like when it gets it hard packs no matter what. The quads polish everything off. So if it gets wet, it literally is like ice. Really
like
hard packed,
goose
really
snot.
fast. Oh yeah, really hard packed, really fast. Don't venture off the track because there's like that place. They do a lot of like Jeep mud bogging there when we're not racing there. So yeah, that one's don't venture off the track because if you go through a mud hole that looks like it's kind of deep, it's probably like 500 feet deep or something. Slightly exaggerated number.
That's something I would do. I'd be like, oh, this looks great. I need to get back to camp because I'm quit. And it's like, whoa. into the 500-foot deep. No one can ever find me.
Yeah.
You just never see you again.
Stand on top of your bike and like just your nose is sticking up. This hurts. I understand. I have issues like that all the time when I try to wake up in the morning. I can't get out of the covers. I'm like, damn, help! I'm stuck. Oh, pillow. Right. Okay. It happens. So, what was really interesting was with Powerline Park is where we saw Mullins finally beat and break Caleb Russell's winning streak. So now Russell was in second when Paul Whibley in third, and then Andrew DeLong again first place in XC2.
How many is that in a row for him?
Andrew DeLong? Mm-hmm. That was just 3 in a row there.
Okay.
So he injury, broke his hand, had a pretty nasty surgery. He wound up having a head-on collision with a guy at a race that had quit or was coming, just took the wrong trail back to camp. And unfortunately went head-on into Andrew DeLong as he was still racing. And then Jason Thomas in third. So, again, situations like this is where we kind of see Grant Baylor points lead start to dwindle and Jason Thomas start to pick up. So that's kind of why coming down to the end that they had such a close race. And then, of course, between Mullins and Russell, this is where it became. Was it 2 points going in, or was it 5 points at this time? Coming
into that race, it was 5, I believe.
And so it was two going out, right?
Yep.
Okay, so going into Ironman, last race. So no Loretta Lynn's this year, which was just weird for me. I don't know why. I know a lot of people...
It's like back to the norm.
Right, that's what a lot of people said. They're like, oh, thank goodness. It's so normal when GNCC ends on Ironman. And I was just like, I don't know. I thought Loretta Lynn's was so cool. No, I didn't race
definitely
it, so I don't know about the track. But...
I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of Loretta's. It's just cool to be there and everything, and I thought it was cool that they ended the season there for that couple years. But back to Crawfordsville, I think everyone, I don't know, everyone's just like, that's how it ends.
That's what it should be?
Yeah.
All right. I understand that. And I would imagine that you probably would pull in a lot more spectators at Crawfordsville than you would at Loretta Lynn's. Loretta Lynn's would probably be a fair amount of racers, families, and stuff like that, like a good numbers in that genre, but like your mud fleas and your
like Bolton said, it probably pulls more people than their state fair.
Yeah. Sounds familiar. So
Jared Bolton quote.
Going into Ironman, it was definitely one of those situations where I think just about everybody wanted to make it up there to kind of see how it was going to play out, because we knew it was going to be coming down to the line, down to the checkers, if you will. Whoever won. So it was going to be Russell or Mullins. And I thought watching the webcast, you could tell that everybody rode their butt off. Just Russell just hammered it down, just kicked butt. I just think he put his head on straight. He had his game face and just rode a fantastic race to walk away. Really, I mean, by the end of it, he was more than just seconds ahead of everybody. So it was cool to see him come away. I know Mullins was definitely disappointed, but
I'm sure he is.
And keep in mind that Caleb actually had a little snafu at the start.
That's true.
Yeah,
he pre-ejaculated on his button.
He did, and it's so funny to go back and watch the helmet cam, because hearing the story from him firsthand was pretty funny. But then literally on the helmet cam, you see him he hits it and knows he screwed up, and he lets everybody go, and then you just see him look over at Barry Hawk and just take off.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah, because you could see it. Funny. You could completely see what happened on the helmet cam. So it is. If you haven't seen it, definitely go find it. I think it's on motorsport.com's YouTube page where you can find that. Very, very funny to see that. But yeah, so he pretty much went from dead last. And he did really good in that first turn. I mean, he made up half the field in that first 180-degree turn, easy.
How stressful to be leaving the line dead last and your championship is on the line. I would just cry. I think
it was one of those things too where because everybody was going in there just full bore, they were already on the brakes and kind of everybody knew where they were in that turn, and Russell was he just was inside, I'm gonna full throttle until I know I have to brake, and so he just snuck in, and you could tell right all of a sudden it's strings on his right, and then he throttled again, and by the end of the time he got out of the chute, he was already halfway through the pack. So
it's nice to make up halfway in one turn
on a 350 XC.
He kept this little thing in mind, winner, loser.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They came to mind.
He's on the throttle stopper. It was just pegged to the limits. Andrew
Yeah.
DeLong wins the XC2 class. Scott Grills in second, and Shane Hufford in third. So there's
Those two.
The two guys that we had really seen kind of.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting next year.
I agree.
Seeing
I
them up
agree.
there.
And it's funny that you say that because, you know, like I know Digital Off-Road just posted their kind of like silly season stuff, talking about teams and where everybody's going to wind up. I know Zach Huberty over at Innovation Off-Road has kind of put up some stuff about his little kind of silly season and what's going on. And it's interesting because there's so much, I don't even want to say there's so much change. It's just that there's so many people that haven't made a final decision that it's like really played a lot of craziness with everybody else that's still trying to really be like, am I going to have a job next year? Or do I have to find a job? Like, it's like, do I have a racing job or do I have to find a job? So it's kind of interesting that all that's going on. So Ironman, we talked about, you know, kind of the suspense. Everybody knew it was coming down and stuff like that. How close were you to the finish line when Caleb Russell came across first?
I was literally. They come up. They come around, did the motocross track, and come through this little ravine, and then actually went from that straight up into the finish. And I was actually filming in that ravine, so I wasn't like completely right at the finish when he came across, but I was close enough that I heard him when he crossed, like literally just full on rev limiter. Just,
Yep.
And then like literally I could hear that over the people that were coming in front of me. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I can only imagine the kind of stuff that a guy goes through like that, you know, to win a championship, especially when it's so close and it's just that you won this race and that race win means that you win the championship.
Yeah.
I definitely do not have that in my life, unfortunately, to fall back on memory-wise. So that's got to be a pretty amazing memory for him.
If I was that good, I probably would have and I know Caleb can do some pretty decent wheelies, so I probably would have popped it up and arm swagged it.
Throw the deuce.
And then I probably would have held it on the rev limiter until she blew.
Come on, Chester. Come on. So, it was unfortunate to kind of see Mullins when he came through because he was you could tell he was kind of a little, bummed. But, I mean, obviously, still second, still put in a great race. He wasn't injured like everybody thought.
Yeah,
so.
Dang, second place.
And he also, Mullins came away with the National Enduro title this year. He also came away with the National Off-Road Championship title from Big Sky Cross Country, being the official, off-road national championship from the AMA. I mean, Mullins had a great year, and obviously we talked about it, and he wanted the three-peat, like that, or not the three-peat, but he wanted the three, to kind of get all those national championships, but he didn't. And so I told him, I was like, you know what? There's next year.
Yep.
And he's already like, man, 2014, boom, boom. I was like, gosh, it's got to be crazy to think like that. Like, just
straight back into push-ups.
Turn it on. Yeah. We'll get you going soon. Don't you worry. That's how we're going to end the show now instead of starting.
Yes. Push-ups.
Dig it.
Yes.
So, some of the stuff that you're looking forward to for 2014, Bolton?
Same old. Really. We could possibly, I'm not going to give anything away because nothing's official yet, but could be seeing some slight schedule changes. So stay tuned for that. Could mix things up a little bit, make it pretty cool. But overall, I think it's going to be good. And actually, everybody already knows that August 16th is the Motocross National in Crawfordsville, Indiana, at the site of the Ironman.
Yes.
And having seen the track map that they originally had, originally saw it last year, it was really, really awesome. They've since changed it a little bit, and it's going to be even really, really awesomer. So that's one, if you're considering checking it out, do it, because it's going to be sweet.
Sweet.
Dig it. Well, and you mentioned that at Ironman they kind of ran close to the motocross track, and you said it almost nonchalantly, but is that the motocross track that they're working on, like, for next year?
That is the one. A good chunk of it's already done. Obviously, there's been a lot of pictures floating around. Really huge uphill triple. And also, really over to the left of that, we ran down it. Anybody that raced Ironman will remember that, running down the hill. And the motocross track is actually winding around a little bit before that, and there's like a huge kind of like a camelback jump and something else, and then you actually go up that, and to stand at the bottom of that and look up, you're just like, huh. It's pretty big.
You realize it hurts your neck just to look at it versus riding it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh man, well you guys are getting some really good nationals on the east side, so it'd be neat to be able to try to do some sleepovers and hang out with you guys and go to some of those.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
do it.
Maybe we can get Bailey to drive us to a couple races.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's the guy to have behind the wheel.
We'll get there in record time, almost every time.
We'll have like 8 pee bottles,
Yeah.
like a couple IVs for food. We'll be there in 10 hours. No matter where it is, we'll be there in 10 hours.
New York, from here, 1,500 miles, 10 hours. We got this.
I was getting some questions about my shirt. Honestly, I can't even remember who that guy is.
What's the signature say?
It says just ride, and this is a
Ride or die.
That doesn't help at all.
If you kind of throw back a little bit, anybody that knows Jerry Bernardo, he used to host a lot of stuff on TV, Motocross Nationals, Monster Jam, all sorts of stuff. He was the announcer for Endurocross for a few years. This is actually from his original, where he came from, in Massachusetts, bro. Team Fuck You. FAHQ.
Q.
Team Fuck You. And this is some guy from New England. I can't remember his name now.
Is it Jason Connell?
No, but that would be awesome.
You would just see a big ass mustache.
Mustache with the curly Q mustache.
Yeah, that's
That'd be sweet.
definitely where I got all my inspiration, and I'm still working on growing mine out. So obviously, I think Bolton insinuated a little bit that 2014 could make some changes coming for the GNCC schedule. Maybe make some more interesting racing. It sounds like I think. Excuse me. I have definitely noticed what you were referring to about with Barry Hawk kind of taking over and the changes in the tracks and stuff like that. Just watching it from the webcast, reading the press releases, the racing that's been going on. It has been different racing, and it's racing that I, as a spectator, appreciate. And the fact that kind of slowing it down, changing it up a little, and it's not to the rev limiter as much. So, in that sense, I'm looking forward to 2014 and seeing what kind of
Absolutely.
new tracks to be bringing in. When are we going to see
We'll
you
be
back
road
out there,
tripping.
Jordan?
Me, I don't know. It's up in the air right now. Got to get through school, I guess, for now.
Man, when you say up in the air like that right now, that sounds like I got something in the works and I can't talk
Well,
about it.
let's not excite anybody, which I don't think anybody cares, but no.
No, Donna in there.
No, this is how much I haven't rode this year. We went to FCA camp in July. Our bikes are still dirty in the garage.
Bailey.
That's rough.
Come on, man.
God.
That's how busy we are of not riding.
Bolton's like, don't worry, mine's still dirty from 3 years ago. And he just does it.
I got a freshie.
What?
Well, it's not a freshie. It's like, I bought it last Wednesday night. It's a 08 250 XCF. And went to the guy's house and was looking at it, and I was like, so, did you ever ride this thing?
Like ever?
It's really clean, and got it for a really good deal. Guy was super cool. He's a U.S. Marshal. It was awesome.
Nice. A buddy of mine who got actually a really good deal on a bike, but he had to put some extra work into some of the plastic. He went and picked up this bike. It literally had probably only done wheelies up and down the dirt road that he picked it up on. But like, he said when he first got it, it looked like an FMX / super motard machine. Like the guy had like done all the plastic cutware.
Oh my gosh.
In the back for an FMX bike, but had done all the like short fender, like weird and like.
He must have put on shows for like the neighborhood. Or something.
Exactly. Like it was the craziest looking thing ever. But in reality, like except for the fact that maybe this guy could have gotten drunk enough to just like start it and only just like throttle it out just so it sounded cool. That's probably the only reason this bike would have been ridden too hard.
It sounds like the bike that come into the motorcycle shop I used to work at like 5 years ago. It sounds like that made its way all the way down there. Because we had one exactly like that, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
You're like, man, it took too long for this to happen. It took way too long.
Did. And I spent literally hours pulling the stickers off of that one.
Like, dude,
There was just the number plates. Literally, it looked like they had like thick vinyl graphics, but it was just like little thin stickers just coated all over it.
The worst part was that he clear coated them on. Like,
Yeah.
So I have two questions about 2014. Is I have one question and 2 parts to it, I guess you could say. So, bigger effect is that Husqvarna is going to have possibly a GNCC team, or that Ryan Sipes is going to be racing GNCCs next year. Obviously, one question in the fact, how does that affect GNCC? The parts of it are different in the fact that one is about Ryan Sipes and the other is about Husqvarna. Mike Brown has done a lot of talking about wanting to do some GNCC racing.
Yeah. Pro Row will look a little bit different. That's one thing that'll change. The rumor I've heard is that Husky is supposed to have 4 riders.
Wow.
At GNCC?
Yeah. So, okay.
That's fun. That's
I like
fun
seeing
rumor.
You've got
teams coming
well,
back
I was thinking it was like 4 riders total.
Okay, well, Bobbitt is supposed to be doing some supposed, like a couple of them. Yeah.
All right, there's number 1.
There's 1.
Okay, and then Brown, maybe.
There's 2.
Uh,
DeLong.
Yep.
If he signs, that's
Yep.
3. And you tell me, because I don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I've read so much crap now. My head's totally all over the place. I don't know. It's like, would it be smart to pick up another KTM rider because of the? I mean, you think about it. I mean, like maybe Fahringer is probably going to stay with Air Group Racing. Which means they may be on Huskies, or they may be on
What about
other
Sipes?
bikes.
Because
They might be on something the same, only different. Like another European brand that's also blue.
Sherco's?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Interesting. Oh, okay. Maybe he has been thinking about testing the Sherco 300 because it's supposed to be coming into the country this year, isn't it?
Yep. So there's that. What was
Isn't
the
that
other one
what
I was thinking
Knight
of?
Night is okay. So they have their new 252 stroke, which should be coming into the country this year, and they also have the 300i, which was available in this country last year.
Okay.
And which is the bike that I rode at the Oklahoma National. But yes, that is the David Knight bike.
That's what David Knight's riding.
It's not the David Knight bike, but that's what everybody knows it as now because that's what David Knight's on. So it's the David Knight bike.
The David.
And I don't know, when Nick Fahringer was mentioning that, I don't remember what social media platform it was, but he did say something about the Sherco 300. Because he's a 300 two-stroke rider.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean there's a
Interesting.
300 two-stroke, or does that mean that there's a 300 four-stroke that or he's on the 300 four-stroke?
Very
I
interesting.
know, that's fun. And
They have multiple machines.
they don't have Kickstarters on those bikes.
Oh gosh.
Period.
And here's another interesting one that Zach Stuckey, that is Clay's son.
Yes,
Clay is the Sherco and Gas distributor.
correct.
He actually told me yesterday that he would like to try to qualify for Loretta's on a Sherco.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that would actually, I think that would be really, really cool if he makes it. So
I guess like he would try to put somebody on that 300, or because I mean they have a 450. I mean they have the whole spectrum.
right.
But
Yeah, it'll be Zach. Zach is the one that wants to do it.
Oh, okay.
He wants to do it himself on the 450, is what he told me.
woo, good luck.
Yep.
Ooh.
Very
Yeah,
That just
interesting.
scares me. I don't even want to think about motocross. It hurts my bones thinking about it. Well, so the David Knight thing is a great lead-in to the kind of the way I wanted to close this up. Now, I'm not going to lie. We definitely spent way more time talking about this, but there's a lot of great content, and sometimes it's just hard to tell people to shut up, especially myself, which I could never tell myself to do that because that's just rude.
That is.
And Mr. Bolton, I could never do that to you. You're just... I mean, I'd tell you you're too cute, but then your husband's over there, so it's like, we'll do something else, but we'll just go with it. I could never tell you to shut up, Mrs. Bailey. So David Knight will be in the country quite shortly, and he will be racing the Enduro Cross in Vegas for the finale.
Sweet.
He will be on the Sherco 300i. He's also going to be riding at the Friends of Fast Ride the Thursday before Endurocross.
That you will be
So that's what I'm going to be at. So I am going to be at the Friends of Fast Ride Thursday with Tiffany, our seat time cohort, if you will, before the Vegas Endurocross. So we're going to have lots of pictures, lots of video, and all that kinds of stuff. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to ride. Like, that is my goal out of this whole situation. I am going to compete in the Endurocross. I'm going to do the open amateur class. I will, if long as legality lets me, I will definitely run some helmet cam footage. So when I bust my butt, everybody can get some fantastic footage of me doing that. But I think it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a heck of a drive. It's going to be the longest I've ever done, had to do straight. So it's going to be interesting. Any pointers? Bring pee bottles?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if your road trip manager lets you stop and go to the bathroom, but
I don't know. Tiffany Vardell has not done a road trip this long either.
Well, and she's a girl too. She'll want to stop. You're good.
She texted me and asked me what is the furthest I've ever driven straight through. And I was like, well, I've done 12 hours, no problem. Bam, done straight all the way through.
See, me's 15. 15's my longest, and I was telling them earlier when we were talking about this, I was like, dude, when we got to that hotel, 15 hours, I was literally crazy. I mean, like, I was like, get me out of the car crazy. Like, so, unfortunately, I have to add another 4 hours to that. So,
That's not that far, really.
What's our longest, Cooper?
17.
Florida? Yeah, Florida. Oh, gosh, that was crappy. Yeah, that's a long one.
Sounds horrible. I think, yeah.
Well, see, like even me, it's like, oh, Florida can't be, like, all terribly that far. No, it's still, like, 10 hours.
It's because it's so far in Florida. It's like, you get to Florida and you're like, oh, okay, 8 more hours. Do. You know?
Like, bye, Disney World. I'm passing you up. That sucks.
River what?
Yeah. Oh. So. Well, cool. Well, we did it. We talked about every single round of the GNCC, all 13 of them.
And it didn't take us like a week.
And some other things and stuff.
Yeah, like Chester.
Like my cock.
We did mention the awesome
talked
video
about my cock.
that showed up from Crawfordsville of these like bloopers up Ironman Hill.
Oh,
did anybody else see that? Because I caught that on Facebook.
Year. That was the one where Paul Wibley totally killed that hill for me, man.
And that one dude comes around and just smacks the tree like halfway up the hill.
Just completely blew up at that tree. Like,
and then the dude. Yeah, that was good. Good
I think
blooper
that
video.
guy actually has like a bunch of videos. Like I think he's done that like every year.
Yeah, find
if
that guy.
It's not him. It's all over the place. We'll find it. I know I posted it on Seat Time, so we can find it. We'll post it again tomorrow once this is all up and done with. Oh, it's my dad again. That's my dad just telling me how much I suck at life. He's like, I drove 18 hours straight to Colorado Springs and rode all day at the KTM rally.
He wins.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, suck it up, you're my son.
Wimps.
Awesome. So what I'm really
He's going to make you feel really bad. He's going to tell you, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Well, I can only hope that, because we're going to the F1, to the Formula One race this weekend in Austin, so now, unfortunately, he's probably going to pick on me the whole time about my poor driving abilities. I don't know. Is that it?
Push-ups.
Yes, we got push-ups. So is that camera working, Steven?
It is.
All right.
Are we
so
like a
Bailey,
push-up
let's do
competition?
this. Let's. I keep calling you Bailey just because of Cooper. Let's back that chair out of the door. Steven, push your chair in. We're gonna use that camera, and you're gonna do push-ups right here. So obviously it's a little dismantled at this point, but here's the whole deal. So last time we actually talked with Jordan. With Ms. Bailey, and she was like, "Oh no, I do push-ups all the time. They're a great time." So we challenged her to see how many push-ups she could do before we started the show,
and
which was actually in the show.
Want to add a disclosure? I have not done push-ups in a long time
since the last time you were on the show.
There's a good chance, yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask her to do as many push-ups as you can. That's Steven's face. Hey, Steven.
I'm in my winter attire. It got down in the 50s today, guys, in Texas.
OMG. Yeah, that means it's almost winter time here.
How do you disconnect this camera? Because it's going to be a pain to...
Oh, I just meant like turn it so it looks kind of like at it. Looks like you figured it out.
Yeah.
No, I'm not definitely going to tell you guys. This is totally off the cuff. We don't normally get so unprofessional. But, you know. Bolton, can you see this? Or do you know what's going on?
Oh, yeah. This is great.
It's not like we can pipe video back around.
So this is... So, Jordon Bailey.
This is me and Howdy.
And that's Izzy.
Oh, hi.
All right, so when do we do this?
Have at it.
Are we
Yeah,
going to do like some sort of competition? Because if I don't know how anybody to beat, then there's no drive.
Oh, you're totally going to beat me. You want to beat me?
Yeah.
All right. What's the... What?
And we're doing like... Okay.
Are we doing them in lots, or are we just going at it?
I think we should have an official count, right?
Okay.
Because then that's not very fair.
Get your husband to count.
You can be on camera, you know. Don't have to be so camera shy. Oh gosh, I have to go first. I got socks on. This is slippery.
All right. Well, I'm going to learn from your mistakes.
Can I go piss while y'all...
No! We're in the middle of this. We are recording. We are
I
live.
got 17 more hours, so you're allowed to use it.
Yes. So as we look at Jared Bolton's smiling face, we're going to talk about Jordon Bailey doing some push-ups here. She's going to do as many push-ups as she can. I don't really know how many that is. We are not stretched. We are not warmed up.
Do not judge us.
Yeah, don't judge us, please.
1, 2, 3. Where's the count?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 is too many, 18, 19, I can't do that, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
Golly, I'm out of shape.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at how many I'm not going to be able to do. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Ah!
So can I do them like halfway to the ground like you did?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
Fair's fair, right?
You girl push up.
Although I'm a girl.
Well, she didn't put it. She wasn't on her knees.
You weren't on your knees.
That's
I
fine.
am very out of shape, y'all. This is embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing. This is gonna be embarrassing. Ow. This is gonna be bad.
Don't let me win. I'm not into that.
Oh god. So like 30 half push-ups. Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
2,
8,
2,
9,
2.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
Slow down.
18, 19, 20,
4,
21,
5.
22, 23, 24, 25, 26. No. I'm gonna be so sore tomorrow.
Well, she beat me by 4.
I think he gave it to me.
As I tell my wife, if I'd have given it to you, you'd have known about it. So, this has been Seat Time, episode 107, the GNCC Wrap Up episode. I'm very flustered. I'm a little out of sorts right now. I might have had too many beers to do that many push-ups. My wife's going to take the brunt force of it later when I throw up on her pillow. Oh, goodness.
I'm so sorry.
For those of you who do not understand or know what you have just finished watching, this has been Seat Time. Definitely the online show for the off-road enthusiast. If you like racing dirt bikes, talking about dirt bikes, just kind of seeing what's going on in the world of dirt bikes, this is definitely a show for you. We want you to stay in touch with us. Always get to us. Let us know what kind of stuff you want us to talk about on the show. Multiple ways to do that. Of course, the website is seattime.co. I am a little out of breath. We archive all the shows there on Seat Time so that you can find all of them there. Of course, we're on Facebook, so facebook.com/Seat Time. We're on Twitter. You can follow us there. Tweet us real hard. We like that. Twitter.com/Seat Time_CO. 8-point buck. Of course, we're on Instagram. You can find us there. Just search for Seat Time. YouTube is youtube.com/user/SeatTimeCO. If you want to type it all in. If not, just search for Seat Time. you'll find us there. That's a good way to follow us. Of course, if you just want to get the audio archive of all this fun stuff,
You're going to miss out. But.
Yeah, you're gonna miss out on the good time. But I'm trying, man. I'm trying to breathe. I'm trying.
My arms are not going to like wash my hair
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Out now. It's like, no, you really don't know. I just did 26 straight push-ups. It sucked. So, yeah, you can find us on all those places. Please follow us on Stitcher, iTunes. It's great times. Can't say thank you enough to all the supporters of Seat Time, to Fly Racing, Powersport Graphics, and, of course, Fast Company. So go check them out at all of their little social media bits, if you will. Remember to always enjoy a pint full of awesome. I think that's the best thing, just because of the fact that a pint full of awesome doesn't mean you have to be drinking to do it. You just want to make sure you want to have a good time. It could be water, juice, soda, or any adult beverage. You just want to make sure that you enjoy life, always do what you want to do, and have fun. Any other things that I'm missing?
I don't know. I'm all kind of out of sorts.
Covered. Done. Mr. Bolton, do you and your cock have any last words?
I don't know. So those were some words. How about that?
Yeah.
Words and stuff and some things and it's Chester.
Dirtiest cock I've ever seen on TV.
It's a terribly dirty, filthy cock.
And that's a wrap.
I'm just still so enamored with this whole situation. Well, Mr. Bolton, we definitely appreciate you being on the show. Miss Bailey,
Hey.
appreciate you being on the show.
Choking my chicken.
It's not. It still officially hasn't gone too far. It
really hasn't.
I'm so.
It could get a lot worse.
Oh, I know. Oh, sell the shirt. So I think they want you to sell your shirt, Bolton. But if not, I'm going to sell our shirt. So remember that we now have our new quote shirt. You can get it at seattime.bigcartel.com and purchase it there. Please help support Seat Time along with all of our supporters, because we can't do this without just a little bit of your support. We're not asking you for a ton of money. And even if you wanted to donate a tad bit of money, maybe gas money for our trip to Vegas next week, you could do that as well on the Seat Time website. So we really appreciate it if you could. What are you going to sell? You're jiggling your pants like you're thinking about something, Bolton.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Getting all like Al Bundy over here.
Yeah, he's like, I'm thinking about something, but that's for my next show that starts when I'm done with this one.
Yeah. It starts at midnight.
Meow.
After hours.
Yeah. All right, bosses. So you have fun out there. Thanks again for everybody paying attention. We will not have a show next week. I know. But my family needs me. I'm not gonna lie. Steven's family needs him. It's getting closer to the holidays. We will have one Tuesday night before Thanksgiving. We're going to talk to a couple of people that are coming up. Actually, we're going to bring in a couple of downhill mountain bikers.
Sweet.
That's going to be talking about some of the season that they went through and how they kind of incorporate a lot of dirt biking into their training. So I think it'll be kind of cool, a little different, something fun. As always, we're going to have a pint full of awesome. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
I'll be at Minio's.
We'll see ya, Bolton.